This is Anthony with True Diamond Heart, continuing our video series on living in authenticity, beauty, and peace. Authenticity. Let's just start with authenticity because it's the first of the three that we named for no other reason. And yet we can start with authenticity and arrive at the gates of heaven, go through the gates of heaven and be in heaven. Bliss, nirvana, enlightenment. Authenticity, full authenticity, is full realization. Full realization will be fully authentic. There will be no more maintaining, projecting of any image. An image is not reality. An image is an image. So authenticity, we are here having been conditioned from birth to be a name, a gender, whether we like it or not, a skin color, a racial, religious, political affiliations, nationality, sports affiliation, likes and dislikes, foods, clothing, all different kinds of ideas that we have about ourselves, that we think are ourselves. Am I a male of a certain age with a skin that reflects light in a certain way, with certain political beliefs and certain religious affiliations and likes and dislikes and fears and traumas and histories and traumas and triumphs from the past and anxieties and hopes about the future? Is this who I am? Relatively speaking, it is who I am. Is it who I identify with? Is this who I think I am fundamentally? If so, I will live to that degree, to the degree that I identify with this as my ultimate being. To that extent, will I be inauthentic? Yes, okay, so I'm a male of this age, just to start with a few simple things, whose skin reflects color in this way, reflects light in this way. Now, these are facts, physical facts, reality. And yet, if I identify as these things, then I'm not another age, I'm not another gender, whatever gender means, and I'm not another skin color. Magnificent birds flying behind here, blue jays. And they're here to remind us that no matter what happens, we are still with the moving through the real world and the challenges of the real world, the beauty and the terror that it presents to distract us. We still have our ability to focus on the task at hand, right? So if I identify with these characteristics as who I am primarily, that I'm not all of the other characteristics that are embodied by other people, or that I might have embodied at other times in my life. Perhaps I had more of a tan, less of a tan, different age certainly, perhaps even a different gender identification. It's all just ideas when it comes to ultimate identification. If it comes to physiological fact, when a person gets on an elevator in a wheelchair, the 3-year-old says, "Hey, Daddy, how come that woman has wheels on her chair?" That is a simple noticing and expression of facts that this child is receiving. There's absolutely no, yet if an adult says something like that, we cringe because we know there has to be somewhere in there a judgment. The 3-year-old is innocent and simply notices the physical fact. That person is not a person, that person is not handicapped. That person is a person who can't walk with legs, walks with wheels. Simple fact. And now we move on to the next fact. And the same child wants to know, "Hey, do you like football? Or do you like apples or pears better?" The kid's just on to the next thing. The adult is trapped with what do they think? Do they think I'm that I'm discriminating against them? Oh, should I be more careful? Should I be... Just insanity. Because it's identification of this person as someone who can't walk and therefore is less than someone who can walk and is more than. The kid might think it's cool to have wheels. The kid might think it's cool to walk and have wheels different times. It's just simple facts. The simple fact of that I have certain physiological characteristics, skin color, certain number of years or times around the sun that this earth has traveled since I came into this life. Fine, wonderful. But when I identify as those things, then I have to hold them together. How does a person my age behave? How does a person with my gender identification behave? How does a person with a skin color behave? well, all these things, I should behave this way, I shouldn't behave that way, based on I am superior because of my skin color. Oh, I want to make sure I'm not superior because of my skin color. I want to not be this, all kinds of nonsense. Now, we have to navigate these things, true with sensitivity, and yet when we come to the spiritual world, we allow ourselves to be identified with all that is, and our final identification is the infinite of all manifestation and all potentialities, past, present, and future. And in that state of mind, which we will enter into later in this series, we will do meditations where we experience full authenticity, full beauty, and full peacefulness. Absolutely. But for now, we're just discussing authenticity. Authenticity is the state of absolute beauty and peace. It's the state of being without any pretense. Nothing to hold together, nothing to prove to myself or to anyone else. Simply being, as this tree behind me or the puppy behind me, you decide she has nothing to prove. Pure authenticity. And you will look at her and you will see beauty. You will look at this tree and you can only see beauty. You will look at this rock and perhaps you will see beauty and perhaps you will see something else. Why? Because the rock has been cut. Let me get another rock for you. This rock here, this is a wild rock, uncut rock. Now it happens to be in the shape of a heart. So again, associations. Let's just pick this thing here. It's very hard to move away from associations. This cluster of quartz crystals. Absolutely wild. This used to be a geode, means it was something, it was a rock and someone cracked this open or cracked itself open and inside grew like this. All inside grew all these crystals. Look at that. How can that not be beautiful? Why is it beautiful? It is simply authentic. It is real. It is real. There is no pretense. There's no trying to be anything else. It is what it is. The bird that's flying behind the camera. Now this, let's get back to this. This is a perfect example. This is a natural rose quartz crystal. It's a magnificently beautiful thing. Now someone cut it into a pentagon. Is it beautiful? Well, what do we think about pentagons? We're into the land of pretense. It has lost some of its authenticity because of human interference, right? And yet there's no need for it to have lost any authenticity. It is still a magnificent construct of form, color, structure. Incredible. Incredible. But the leaf behind me and the puppy behind me, absolutely unadulterated authenticity. And unadulterated authenticity is who we are here to learn to become again, because that's how we arrived here in ultimate authenticity until about 3 or 4, until we started. I remember right in this room I used to have mirrors on that closet behind me, and my son was 3, and he looked in the mirror and he said, "Nick," and in that moment I knew I had to tell him the relative truth and betray the absolute truth. I had to betray him because I made a commitment, and I still haven't broken it in 18 years, never to consciously lie to him. I've never consciously lied to that person, and he helped me become a truthful person just by being. I told him an ultimate lie based on the relative need for him to navigate this world. I said, yes, that's Nick. Now, is that Nick? Yes. Is that finally who that being is? No, absolutely not. That is a being of unfathomable beauty, expansive, boundless potential, and love. Nick is just a small part of who that being is. And yet he has to fully move into that inauthenticity of identification with a separate personality, so that once an adult, twice a child, from the innocence and perfection of pure authenticity into the grime and muck that we need to go into to learn to navigate this world. He can't navigate the world as that pure soul that he originally came as. He needs to learn to be a separate embodied individual. And unfortunately, in our world, there's no way to learn that without losing that connection. It's impossible. It's just the way it is, the way that we've, at the evolutionary stage that we're at now, that's how it is. Perhaps in some tribal cultures, they can still maintain that. We can't. So into the adulthood, which is the loss of that, the loss of the authenticity, and into the self-consciousness where he takes 40 pictures before he posts one. Why? Because they don't look the way he wants them to look. The 40th picture looks the way he wants them. This is his idea of how he looks best. Is it? Absolutely not. He looks best when he doesn't know the camera's there, just like all the rest of us. That's how he looks best. In his authenticity, in his unprepared, unscripted, masked self. Of course he's beautiful, as are you, as am I. So we go into the adulthood, into the learning how to function. Yes, you are Nick. Yes, I am Anthony. And then, second time into childhood, back into the innocence. And it's not just the innocence of childhood, it's also the understanding that in the face of the divine, we know nothing. And in the face of knowing nothing, are we open to learning everything and to becoming everything? Magnificent. Authenticity. Authenticity. We will get into how to reveal authenticity. I think we need to do beauty and then peace, and then we'll go into some more practical how to get into things, and also how to reveal these qualities, and also how to experience them. Take us into actual experiences of authenticity, beauty, and peace, because in the experience we start to understand what it is that's so valuable about spiritual maturation. So we'll see you next time for beauty.